Hi guys, Coach Joe Micela again with Performance One Advanced Sports Training. Today we're going to talk about how do you pick a coach. Back in the day when I first got involved in Olympic weightlifting, almost 24, 25 years ago, it was kind of easy from the standpoint because there was not that many options. In the state of Arizona at the time, we had about 3, maybe 4 coaches in the entire state that actually knew what they were doing with Olympic weightlifting. So finding somebody was not that hard, but at the same time, it could have been, tough from a standpoint of distance. You had to drive very far. You had to communicate with them over the phone, maybe eventually through an email, say, hey, I want to do something. The days of, distant programming wasn't like it is today. Fast forward to today. Today, we have a lot of options between CrossFit now being an influence on Olympic weightlifting, general gyms now that are offering more Olympic lifting platforms, and then the sport itself has grown more. You have now more people that are now coming out of the woodwork that are saying that they're coaches. And add on top of that, you have now the online coaching world where you have people that have, in some cases, very little experience now writing programs for other people. They may have been Olympic lifting for 2 years, 3 years, maybe had some good local experience, but now all of a sudden they're a coach. They may have gotten their level 1 and now it says they're awesome. Or they got their level 2. And unfortunately, Olympic weightlifting in the state of, in America, our level 2 is basically called a national level coach, and it shouldn't be called that. It now gives this false idea that this person is of higher quality, and they're not. So how do you pick one that's good? You have to look at 2 major factors, okay? In my opinion, experience and results. Did this person have a multitude of years where they learned either under somebody who previously had experience? Unfortunately, it's not like you can go to college and a degree in Olympic weightlifting. A lot of their knowledge base is going to be self-taught. In other countries, it's an actual degreed program in their colleges and universities, and usually taken by former athletes themselves. America, we don't have that. So a lot of it is going to be done on the coach himself. He or she has to do their own self-research, to look up from other programs, both in America and both foreign programs, and then study what works best into their personality and their methodology of training. And that's kind of how I did it. Okay, I researched, I read, I communicated, and I traveled all around the country and I traveled all around the world, finding and seeking out the most knowledgeable people. So having that experience. But there's a caveat to that. Just because someone who's been in the sport 20 years, but they have 0 results to show for it other than a couple local lifters and the occasional someone goes to a national event, does that really mean they know what they're talking about? Are they really that they're knowledgeable in the person? They're probably not that much more knowledgeable than someone who's been doing it for 3 years, but has produced somebody. Okay, so you have to look at that as well. Because there's a lot of people that have been around the sport for 20, 25 years, 30 years, haven't done shit. Just because you have that experience, what did you do with it? Okay, what did you have that result? In my first year of full-time coaching, Olympic weightlifting, I was able to take 2 athletes to the Junior National Championships in my very first going, and we medaled. Follow that up, we took 2 athletes to the University Nationals, and they also medaled. So we're like, oh, wow, this is not so bad, okay? And then that started steamrolling, okay? So they're getting more top finishes. Then we had a kid that made a Junior Pan Am team. He medaled. And then we had the same kid that made a Junior World team. He finished in the top 12. And then next thing you know, it started bringing in more experience, okay? Because then I was able to travel more because of those opportunities with that kid to meet other national coaches of higher caliber, going on international trips and met higher level coaches from other countries and just asking questions, taking video, talking. So then I was able to combine that result, okay, and get more in-depth experience from communication. And then sometimes things we were reading in some of the literature, and we go, oh, the Russians do this, the Soviets do this, the Bulgarians do this. And then we were actually talking from coaches from there. You're going, you know what, we really don't do it like that, because that guy was just trying to write a paper or write a book. He was trying to write a research paper and he just wanted to get done. So we had to kind of get through some of the stuff. So some of it wasn't true. Some of it was different. They also don't talk about the drugs in there. What you can and cannot do, talent identification, picking the right kids for the sport in general. All those things you started coming together. So for you yourself, you have to look at those things. Do you want to find someone just because they're an online program and yeah, they've been only coaching 1 or 2 people and then they put out a generic program for everybody? Well, that may be good for you as a starting point. Does it work for you? Same thing with the sport of Olympic weightlifting is very unique that you need eyes on you. You need someone to see you on a daily basis that can critique your technique, okay? That can give you that input. That can give you these little bits of insight on, hey, you doing this now is going to set you up down the road for this event later. That communication, that coaching comes from a day-to-day coach who has that experience and has that that knowledge base of prior past results of success, and then they can dictate that down to you. It just saves you time as an athlete. Not saying that there's no good beginner level coaches out there. I started off obviously as a beginner and someone had to take a chance with me. I'm saying though, depending on where you're at in your career and what your end goal is in the sport, if you're fine with recreation, find a recreational coach that does it kind of occasionally, okay? They may keep it super light and fun for you and that's all you want. Flip side, then there's me. You come to me, I don't take it recreationally. I'm serious about it. Your goals become my goals, and then I want you to be successful, but I only know one way, and that's through hard work and discipline. So when you come in here, I'm going to push you really hard. You're either going to take it and accept it, and you're going to get better at it, or you're not. You're going to fold and break. Is that because I wasn't adapting to you? No, I've adapted to many, many of my athletes. We have it sometimes 10 to 15 athletes in here. They're doing 10 or 15 different things based off of their needs, but the one underlying is that they're going to be pushed. So as a day-to-day coach, I can do that. But picking an online coach, again, look for that experience. Did they have one really good athlete and that's it? When did they acquire that athlete? Did they start that athlete from the get-go? Or did they acquire that athlete already after they were already successful? But for whatever reason, the athlete had a falling out with their primary coach who started them and got them really successful, and then they jumped ships. And then this other person came into the scene and now sometimes gets credit for that. And I'm not saying they're not a good coach and they didn't help them, but it's different. Versus that coach has been with them through a majority of their journey. Through the majority of the hard work, majority through the tough days, majority through the learning curve, both as an athlete and a coach, and they were being successful together. And then that coach able to replicate that with multiple level athletes. And here in our gym, we have high level athletes that we started that were youth athletes that went on to the junior ranks and then into the senior ranks. And we're successful all those stages. We have people that just came into us as a master's. We have people that just came into us as a senior level lifter. Multiple different athletes. We've had multiple athletes that made junior world team. Did you have one 20 years ago and that was it? Well, then what happened? Did you replicate that? Did you have multiple world team members or one? Where it gets difficult is Olympians because it's a very special situation. I had one. Did I have 20? No. But those people come around very infrequently. To have two coming out of your same gym is a rarity, is a specialty, and there's very few of those people in America right now that have done that from a club and a coaching standpoint. Okay, all those should be factors on what you want and what your goal is. Again, if your goal is just to have fun, no problem. Find the best atmosphere for you. Coach keeps it light, he tells jokes, we do community outings, I'm not that guy, okay? And if that's what you want, you find that person that makes it really fun for you. You want that person now that it pushes you, like you were a Division I level athlete or a professional athlete that takes it super serious, and you want to be pushed beyond what you think you can do, then there's coaches out there for that. And then there's coaches that can keep it both light and serious at the same time. I'm just not one of those people. But you have to find that for you. So that experience of quality experience in the sport is huge. Their results. Did their results, again, only get most of their athletes to the state level? Or did most of their athletes compete on the national level? Or did they just qualify for the national level, meaning American Open Series, American Open, or they just got to the junior nationals? They just got to the university nationals? Or were they competitive? Were they an A session? Were they medalists? How many medalists did they have? Okay, how many medalists have they had over a period of 5 years, 10 years. I've been fortunate for doing this for 24 years, and basically almost every 5-year period of time, we've had multiple medalists within that time period on the national level, some on the international level, and all different age groups. I've studied each and every aspect of those different age groups, and I put time into it. So you have to ask yourself that when you are picking a coach for your particular need. So again, whether it's recreational or it's serious. Your goal is just to place at your state championship, or your goal is to make it to an American Open Series. Or you think you have the shot, to make it to a national level. I would tell you that most of our people that compete at a national level that are medalists, we didn't know that they were that capable for at least a minimum of a year to 2 years. The girl that I took to the Olympics in 2012, I didn't think she had a shot to be an Olympian until about 2009, 2010. And I was like, okay, that was almost 2 years into our training. Now, you may not think that's a lot, but it is, and in some cases, I was like, it took me a while to go, hey, she does now have, I believe, the chops. She's shown the continued progress to make it to that next level. And then we grew together through that experience. And that's also, you're trying to see that as a coach too, Do they do the same things they've been doing 25 years ago? Some, yes, they probably worked. In some situations, you got to say, did they adapt with the times? People come in here now from 20 years ago when I was coaching. The only thing really going to change is the music selection. Other than that, I'm still the same person bringing the same intensity. Okay, some technical things have changed. Our core is the same. Our intensity level is the same. We just allow a little bit more different music nowadays. Okay, Coach Joe's loosening up a little bit. okay? But other than that, like I said, finding that key that fits best for you. Now, when should you leave that coach? The coach started you were 15 years old, you're now 20 years old, you've had moderate success, you are feeling like you hit a plateau. You feel like you have not, progressed anymore. Now, is it you? Is it the coach? Is it the program? Is it the environment? What is it? Well, there's several things you got to ask yourself. Are you doing everything you need to be doing in and out of the gym to make progress? Let's say yes. Is your coach doing everything in and out of the workout to make sure that you're making progress by being more innovative? Or is he just keeps recycling the same programs over and over and over and over again? Or he says, hey, it's Tuesday, March 2nd. Every March 2nd of every year, we do this for the next 8 weeks, regardless of the athlete. Or he doesn't make any changes on the program to individually suit you. Or he's telling you things or she's telling you things, and you're just kind of like, yeah. It's going on deaf ears. Sometimes you need a change. Sometimes you just don't like each other because, like as I said before, you get to the point where one has to keep pushing you. And sometimes that means they're riding you to the point where then the athlete goes, man, I'm just friggin' tired of this person riding my ass all the time. I accomplished the goal he asked me to accomplish, and then he puts another thing in front of my face, and this is never good enough. And then I got to go and do that. And then I accomplish it, and he's like, hey, you got to do this. It's like it's never good enough. But as the coach is thinking, I have to keep them mentally stimulated, physically stimulated to constantly keep pushing themselves. The athlete's thinking, I just want to hug, and I just want to be welcomed and be told it's okay. And that's the mentality of the kid. And if that mentality, that person, that athlete wants that, and the coach is not recognizing it, when to back off a little bit or give them like an attaboy or good job, Brian, then you may lose that person because then you're just grinding them and grinding them and grinding them and grinding them. And it does take a special person that can handle that. I'll be full disclosure. Going into the Olympics in 2012, it was such an intense year and a half, 2 year period of time going into that Olympic run that as soon as that competition got done, I told my athlete, I didn't want to see her for a month. And she's like, you don't want to see me for a month. And she was like, but at the same time, she was like, I don't want to see you either for a month. We both realized that we spent so much time together leading into that Olympics in the year and a half, 2 year period of the grind going into that to try to make that Olympic team, that we were almost going to kill each other to the point where like, I can't have you around here anymore because I probably will like kick the shit out of you physically. And I'm going to lose my mind, okay? So you have to then know when to step away too as a coach when you get that intense, okay? When you get that hardcore. As an athlete too, you just can't always just go, well, F this guy, he's crazy. Now, there's times where there's verbal abuse, physical abuse, again, where it just is like, hey, we're just going in two separate directions, and I feel like he doesn't have my best interest in mind, or his overall potential is limited and he's not wanting to get better. I think the difference between me at that young time as a coach is I constantly wanted to get better. I constantly, when other coaches were going out drinking, I was like, I want to go find out what this guy knows, this Russian coach or this Bulgarian coach or this coach from Italy, this coach from Ecuador, or Cuba. I'm like, I want to find out what they know. So I know that it's going to help me in some capacity in building networking relationships because I always wanted to bring it back to my athlete. But I am very intense, and like I said, there was times that it didn't work out, because of that intensity and because of that constantly pushing of that athlete. But you got to understand that, and you got to, as an athlete, got to know, all right, is this guy just being hard on me because he's an asshole, or is he being hard on me because there's a greater good? Now you're 25, 20 years old, 28 years old, you could hopefully understand that. You're 15, 16, you're not. But now we're also in a day and age where coaches and athletes just kind of jump ship. Coaches poach athletes. They offer them this golden egg of hope. And these athletes go, the second something gets challenging, the coach doesn't kiss his ass or her ass and bring them a smoothie every 5 seconds. They're like, well, F this guy, I'm out, peace out. And when you start seeing now a high-level athlete being on her third or fourth or fifth coach, you're going, is it really all those coaches that were all messed up and didn't treat you right? Or are you a pain in the ass? I'm going to go with you're a pain in the ass. Now, like I said, this doesn't always work out. You are allowed to change coaches if it doesn't work out. You're not completely married to this person for the rest of your life. But if you're making progress and you're seeing good results, again, as long as there's not some type of abuse, like serious abuse other than hard coaching, you got to stick with the person who got you there. The thing that has upset me the most I've seen over the last two quads is athletes right before major world championships or Olympics just dumping the guy. Now, I don't know the stories on every one of those cases, but they can't all be major abuse cases. Let's put it that way. Could it have been building up? Could it be that one person's riding the other person too hard? Maybe. But at the same time, where's the loyalty on both ends? Where's the loyalty from the athlete to the coach? Where's the other one? Was someone felt like they were being taken advantage of, like they were the golden goose and they weren't really being listened to and they were just told to shut up and just do what you're supposed to do and I'm going to take all the credit for it? Or is it the other way around? The coach is sitting back going like, shit, I'm doing all this stuff. I'm dragging your ass to practice. I'm dragging your ass to this event. I'm dragging your ass. I'm spending all this money, but you get all the limelight. I'm sitting over here like a friggin', chooch. Like that's not good either. It has to be a balance back and forth. The athlete can't leave on the first go. The coach can't berate the athlete and not understand their feelings because now everyone's about feelings. But you also have to have this balance because, again, if not and not that understanding, then you're going to break people. You have to learn that. And that's part of the things that I have to learn to adapt and soften a little bit. I don't agree with it 100%, but sometimes I've had to step back and go, okay. And I got to take ownership and going, hey, maybe it is me. Maybe I am being the asshole in this situation. Then I go, nah, not really. They're just soft. Not just a little joke. But I have to take that into consideration, and I'm trying that, And again, I'll be full disclosure. I'm not perfect at that, okay? I'm working on it. But you as an athlete, learning that as a coach, learning their strengths, learning their weaknesses, and then seeing if this is a relationship that fits for you, okay? And if it doesn't work out, both situations, I'd rather tell you early on. I've had different run-ins with different athletes that was like, hey, they could have worked with you, but they didn't because either they heard that you were too tough or they heard you were an asshole or this. That's bad on me. But then this vice versa, I've said I wouldn't want to work with this athlete because I've heard they were a prima donna and they were a pain in the ass and I don't want to be their fifth option. So it goes both ways. So once an athlete does start jumping ship on coaches like that, it's tough because then you got these coaches now that just popped up out of nowhere and they've taken credit for 2 or 4 athletes and you're going, wow, you really didn't have anything to do with their success, but now you've made a career out of it. And that's not right either. Pay your dues, work with your athletes. There's more glory in as a coach knowing that I started this kid from a very beginning level or a medium level and took them to a higher level. And they showed that huge progress. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to accomplish. I'd rather have that stamp on that athlete when they said, who worked with you? Who was your major influence? They said Joe Micela. It wasn't like the 4th option, their 5th option. And if that is the case, and we've had that happen too, people came from someplace else, whether they relocated here, they moved here, they're looking for a change. They want a different intensity level. And then I would say, hey, he started or she started with so-and-so. They had a very good foundation from so-and-so. I just helped out. I helped out. I took them to a different level. I brought something different to the table. They did a really good job doing this. I do a really good job of that. Give credit where credit is due. If you had a high-level athlete before they came here in 2006, Amanda Sandoval, she was Amanda Hubbard, now she's Amanda Sandoval. She came from John Coffey's gym in Marietta, Georgia. She moved out here because she took a job. She was a nurse, started working together. She did extremely well. She made a world team. I was able to be fortunate enough to work with her. Communicated a lot with John at the time. This is how I would do this. Give me background on what you did with her. We would talk. Eventually, she wound up moving to the Olympic Training Center. She was very, very talented. Was an Olympic alternate in 2012. Extremely, extremely talented individual. But I communicated heavily with John, especially early on, and even at the World Championships with her. John was God rest his soul, was extremely talented and a genius in weightlifting mind in our sport. But he was an extremely smart individual, and we would communicate. I said, John, what do you think about this? I want to make this transition easy. I have a little different approach. I'm more do this. And he gave me a lot of feedback. Can't say that for other people. When I did have other athletes go on to other places, very little communication with those other coaches. Again, whether it was they didn't want to talk to me, they thought they were smarter than the world, so be it. When I was a world coach, world team coach, Pan Am coach, I would talk to those individual coaches about that athlete to get as much information about that athlete before I was going to coach them in a major world championships. Because I wanted to know. They got little quirks. What are your cue words, this or that? If that coach that you're trying to find takes that much time to learn about their athletes, great. That's going to be your benefit. Again, personalities are huge. You got to ask yourself, can I see myself working with this guy, this girl? And girl coaches, guy coaches are completely different. I'm not saying there's not very good girl coaches. I have 3 of them. You have to see if your personality works better with a girl, works better with a guy, or it doesn't matter. I've actually had more female coaches female athletes that say they work better with a male coach than they do with a female coach. Again, it's not sexist, it's the way it is. So you have to just ask yourself that as an athlete. Do they have results? Do they have experience? Do they have experience of quality? Does their personality and does their methodology, does their game plan on how to get me better, do I agree with it? Now I got to go through it and it's going to be tough and there's going to be times it's going to suck and I'm going to hate this person. Metaphorically, I'm going to hate this person because what they're going to push me through. But can I see this person making me better? If they can see that they're going to make me better, or they can see that I can help them, or that person can help them as a coach, then you've won them over. If they're going in there going, I don't know, I feel like I know as much as that guy knows. Well, you now just lost that trust. If the athlete can't trust you for whatever reason, because of your knowledge base, your experience, your results, if I just tell them to do something because I read it in a book, versus I tell them to do something because I've had 5 athletes in their weight class and we're all national medalists do the exact same thing that you're about to do and it worked for them and you're like them, then I have precedence and experience and I have results to show them that it can work. Then they're more likely to follow what I'm going to say. People go, oh, you're an Olympic coach. You must be smart. I'm like, no. I'm an Olympic coach because of these other factors that got me to the point of becoming an Olympic coach, okay? It wasn't just because I got to be an Olympic coach. There's a lot of Olympic coaches that didn't actually put people on the Olympic team. You got to look into that. Did they actually produce someone that was on that team? No? Okay. Where did they produce someone to? Because back in the day, we just selected people for the sake of selecting people. It had nothing to do with the actual merit of their accomplishments. It was a good old boy system, and they just kind of picked people based on who kissed whose ass. Okay? Not like that now. I put someone on the team. I got picked to go. So you have to look at that as an athlete, and you have to ask yourself, these are the things I want to do. Any other questions, please leave us a comment. Please like our channel. We're trying to put out a little bit better content. If you want to give us a little more feedback, like I said, we'd love to hear from you. Take care.